one very happy crafter who has a renewed love for crafting, a renewed love for the yarny community, and just, yeah, a full and happy heart. It's so corny, but it's so true. Hello, and welcome to my little slice of YouTube. I'm Kat, the maker behind Cat Crafty Knits. I'm a mum and wife in my mid-30s, living in the heart of the Devon countryside with my husband, 2 kids, dog and chickens. Here you will find me mostly knitting and drinking coffee, sometimes crocheting, occasionally sewing and spinning, and hopefully sometime soon weaving too. I'm not always so great at documenting my crafty journey through writing, but I'm pretty good at chatting, so here I will share my makes, creative thoughts, my dabbles with knitwear design, and my generally pretty haphazard approach to crafting, with dashes of my everyday life thrown in for good measure of course too. You can also find me on Instagram as Cat Crafty Knits. My website is catcraftyknits.com, and I am also on Ravelry with the same name. Thank you for being here, I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I hope you enjoy this video. Oh, gosh, it's been a little while since I've podcasted. About 3 months, I think. Apologies for the gap. In honesty, I wasn't going to podcast again. After my last episode, I kind of lost a bit of motivation for it, if I'm quite honest. It's a lot of work, this podcasting malarkey, and I kind of didn't feel like I was getting much out of it. Like, I shouldn't be here for the likes and views and the subscribes, and I'm not really, if I'm quite honest, and I think that's why I've come back. However, I found myself getting bogged down by the feeling like no one was really watching these videos, and therefore why was I bothering? But actually having a break has now kind of shown me that I'm not just doing it for that, I'm doing it because actually I quite like documenting my crafty journey, and I like looking back at my old videos and cringeworthy, but watching myself talk about my makes and my enthusiasm for them. And yeah, I like having that documented record of what I'm making and what I'm doing with my crafty life, because I spend a lot of my time crafting. So yeah, that's why I'm here again, and I hope you enjoy the video too. If you are a returning viewer, then thank you for coming back. It's great to have you here, and if you've only just found me, if you are new, then welcome, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I have an awful lot to talk about, as you can quite imagine. 3 months off. I might have had a bit of a hiatus from YouTube and Instagram and the likes in that time, but my crafting hasn't exactly stopped. So I have a bit to show you, a bit to talk about. I have notes. I have my laptop down here, which I will be looking at, because if I don't have notes and if I don't follow them, then this is going to be even more rambly than normal. So hopefully I stay on track. Hopefully I don't get too lost in all the waffle, and you enjoy listening to me chat about where I am now with my making. First of all, you would have just seen some footage from our trip to Edinburgh in March. Crikey, it's the 2nd of June now, and I'm talking about stuff that happened in March. That's insane. It feels so long ago, and yet it wasn't that long ago at all at the same time. That's madness. So yeah, me and my husband celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary in March, and we went to Edinburgh, kid-free, which was wonderful. We had a really, really lovely time. We basically only really had one full day in Edinburgh, just because it was such a short time we were there for. So we did a whistle-stop walking tour, basically, which included a trip to a couple of record shops for my husband, because that's what he's into. and a trip to a Ginger Twist studio for me, which was great. Oh, it's funny because I've talked in previous episodes about having a bit of a lull of motivation in buying new yarns, and certainly in March that was still the case. So when we were there, I looked at all this beautiful yarn, but just was a bit paralysed by it all. I didn't really know what to buy or what I wanted to do with the yarns that I was looking at. So in the end, I didn't buy very much, but I thought very quickly I would show you. So my meagre amount of acquisitions from Ginger Twist was, first of all, this lovely Zauberball, which is just beautiful. I've always really wanted a Zauberball, but just not really bought one, not really known what to do with one, apart from socks. And I kind of wasn't thinking socks. However, I'm going to knit socks with this, aren't I, quite obviously. So yeah, that's that one. I think it might be a pair of socks for my husband, actually. I don't know, I just think he might quite like that. I've also seen lots of shawls made with a kind of like a solid colour and then the Zauberball together, and that might be quite nice as well. I could do that. So yeah, that's my Zauberball. That was my first purchase from Ginger Twist Studio. And then I got, sorry for the rattling, some lovely buttons. They are from Pigeon Wishes. I hope you can see them in there. They're really, really very beautiful. Like a pinky, goldy and creamy mix of colours. And they're really, really lovely. I have no idea what I'm going to use these for, or even how many are in them actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 maybe? So they're quite small buttons. So I need to find a use for those, but they were really, really lovely, so I got those. And then the other thing I bought, only 3 things, the other thing I bought were some Highland cow needle stoppers. You know, the thing you use to stop your stitches falling off your needles. But they are currently on a project I'm going to show you in a minute, so I'll show you them then. So yeah, that's the Edinburgh trip out of the way. I thought I'd also wear this today. So what am I wearing? What am I wearing today is my Twisted Leaved Shawl by Kristi Holaas. This I first made in 2017. I made this in 2017 from a gradient cake I got from Wollelfe Yarns. And this was probably the first time that I made a shawl of this level of intricacy. As you can see, it's quite heavily beaded. I'm not actually showing you that. There you go. Quite heavily beaded. And lots of twisted stitches and leaves, and it was an awful lot of lace work. Probably the most intricate lace work I'd taken on at this point in my knitting career. Unfortunately, the beads on this have actually darkened in time. They did start off as a really quite light silvery colour. As it's aged, they are now much darker than they were to start with. But it doesn't matter, I still quite like it. Unfortunately, I don't really wear this very often. I find it's a smaller shawl, which is quite nice for kind of this more summery feeling weather, but you still need a bit of cover. But that with the beading, I find it a bit of a, yeah, is it a dressy thing? Is it not a dressy thing? I don't know. I never quite know where or when to wear it, especially when not so much the blue, but the green is not always a colour that I would reach to wear. So then matching it with things is not always the easiest, although in itself I think it's so beautiful. Yeah, maybe I should put it out a little bit more and just make the most of it, because it seems a shame for it just to be stuck in a cupboard, doesn't it? So yeah, that is what I am wearing. And yeah, where do I go next? There's just so much to say. I think most of the reason that I've come back for a second round of podcasting and I thought I'd give it another go was because of the wonderful experience I had at the new yarn show that happened a couple of weeks ago in Bristol. The big flock that was put on by John and Claire of Bird Street Yarn. I had such a wonderful time. I chatted to so many people, including other podcasters and yarn dyers and makers and people that I've chatted to online for years but not met in person. Yeah, I had such a wonderful time that it really gave me the motivation and the wish to want to do this again. So yeah, thank you to the show for that. However, I'm going to leave my show talk till a bit later in the episode because there's some other things that I want to chat about first that are unrelated to the show. So first of all, I was going to chat to you about my only finished object, and my only finished object is my Arthur cardigan. I wanted to speak about this first because this is featured in my previous episodes, so it only made sense to try and have at least some continuity from episode to episode. So yeah, here is my Arthur cardigan. I'm not sure I'm even going to be able to get it in the screen very well, but there it is. And this is made from a yarn from Dina's Home of Crafts. That is the mohair, which is kind of like a blacky mohair with these goldy, sort of reddy flecks in the yarn, held together with an alpaca yarn. Was it Alpaca Storm? I can't remember the actual brand. But yes, very good of me. I should have looked that up. I'll pop it on the screen. And yes, I finished this, gosh, a little while ago now. So much so that I actually forgot that I even had any finished objects to show you. And then looked back at my notes from my last episode and was like, oh gosh, that was still on my needles and I haven't showed you yet. I can't even remember if I got the buttons actually last time I podcast, so I'll show you those up close as well. And I am super pleased with how this garment looks. I love the yarns, I love the squishiness, I love it. It's really lovely, and I don't know why I'm dithering on that because I should in principle really love this. However, I just don't super love how it fits me. Like, it fits me fine, like it has the ease it's meant to have, like it's on paper fine, but I don't know, it just kind of makes me feel a little frumpy. Shall I put it on a little bit? Oh, for a while. I don't know if you'll be able to see from me sat down here because it's, yeah. Ugh. Can you see that there? Like, it's quite oversized. And it sits quite wide on my shoulders, but with a pair of high-waisted jeans, it doesn't, yeah, I don't know. I think if we go back several episodes for when I first started this cardigan, my original idea was that I wanted a fairly fitted cardigan, but I also wanted to use this yarn, or these yarns combination, and to get what I wanted, I needed to have a bigger gauge pattern to what I originally had intended. So as a result, although it should be on paper fine and nice and lovely, it's just not quite become the garment I wanted it to be. I know I'm being really stupid because actually I even look at it now on camera and it looks really fine. It's just an oversized comfy cardigan, but I just wanted something that was a little bit more flattering. I don't know. I'm being really silly because I actually know there's nothing wrong with this, and it's so cosy on, and I love the buttons and I love the yarns and I love everything about it. I just don't feel super confident in it, which is a shame. But yeah, anyway, that's my Arthur cardigan. Do you ever have those makes where there's nothing wrong with it, but it just doesn't quite hit the mark or doesn't quite come out exactly how you wanted it to? I'd love to share your experiences of those sort of projects with me because it might make me feel a bit better about the fact that I know I should like this cardigan, but yeah, it doesn't quite hit the mark for me. It's a little bit annoying, but yeah. So that's my finished Arthur cardigan. I'm going to take it back off because it is quite warm. And I don't need that on today. Let's get this little number back on. Oh, hopefully I'm settling into this a bit more now. It feels a little bit more normal now I'm talking about projects and not random stuff. So that is the finished object. And after that, I then went into a new design of my own, actually. Now, I call this a new design. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with it in terms of I've started writing the pattern, it's graded, it's named. But I don't know, again, it's another area of my crafting where I've just lacked motivation recently, is my designing. can I be bothered to design? Because although I enjoy it and I have fun, it's a lot of work, and yeah. Words are failing me when I'm trying to explain these notions in my brain, and maybe that's my problem, is that I don't even know why I'm going in my brain with these random thoughts. I just know that the love isn't entirely there for the designing part right now. But anyway, let's show you it, because maybe you'll tell me I'm being really stupid and I should just get on and suck it up and show you and get on with the design. But anyway, this is my new sweater, and as you can see, I've got really far. I have the top, the neckline on, I have the body split and finished, and yeah, this is just my comfy cozy sweater with a big deep V on the neck, it's got a contiguous shoulder, and there's, if I can hold it, my Highland cows. So this project was basically, after I finished my Arthur cardigan, the only thing I was really working on. I had a real urge to just knit on this. And yeah, it was a bit of an obsession for a while, hence why I got so much done so quickly. It's quite a big gauge, that also helped. I don't know if you'll see that on there, but I've got a really nice double knit front band that goes into rib, and I've kind of followed up the detail there. I don't know if that shows. There's just like a slip stitch detail here that follows on from where the band is attached down there, and I'm really pleased with that silly little touch of I don't know, quirkiness. But yeah, that's yeah, so I worked on this loads, and I did have a sleeve on it. As you can see, there is my ball of yarn of this sleeve. But when I got the sleeve on the needle, I graded the sleeve that I wanted it to be tapered, but I wanted it to be fairly wide still. I didn't want it to be like super baggy, but I wanted it to be like kind of oversized like the rest of the jumper really. So I knit this sleeve, round and went, and then I finished it, and then no, I didn't quite finish it. I didn't do the ribbed cuff at the bottom, but I did the rest of the stockinette part. And then I looked at it and was like, I'm not sure I've got as much ease on that as I'd like. Why has that ended up as a skinnier sleeve than I had intended? Like, the stitch counts add up, and it's not quite adding up, like it doesn't quite look how I expected. And then I measured my gauge again, and while I've gone from a big circular needle in the round for the body to the small circular needles, I use like a interchangeable small circumference circular for my sleeves. My gauge was tighter on that smaller needle than it was in the bigger needle, and that has happened to me before. That's not entirely uncommon for me and my style of knitting, but it's just a bit frustrating. I was like, oh, will it block out? Maybe it just needs to block. So I blocked the sleeve, or I blocked the whole jumper to see if this sleeve would relax into more of the gauge that I wanted it to be, and it didn't. So this sat in the naughty corner until, I don't know, 10 days ago, when I ripped the sleeve out. So that's hence why I've got this at the moment. And now I just need to probably go up a needle size and try again, and I just haven't done. So it's sat sleeveless for a little while now. I'm at least back to the point where I can re-knit the sleeve. I just haven't found the motivation to do it yet. And that's basically because I have cast on 1,000,001 other things. You know, get fed up of one thing and just move on to five other things. Why not? So yeah, that's that. Let me know what you think of this. Do you think this is something that I should pursue as a design? Like, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Like, it's coming up overall how I would like it to. I just don't know if the world needs another fairly straightforward sweater design. Am I just wasting my time? I mean, I'm not wasting my time, because I'm totally going to wear this all the time when it's finished. Maybe not over the summer, but certainly as it gets colder again. So it's obviously not a waste of time, but is the work required to make it an actual pattern a waste of time, I guess is what I mean. yeah, let me know what you think. The yarns for that I am using are Ca Ma Rose Snefnug, Snowflake in the English pronunciation. And this is just the most joyous colour. Absolutely love it. Everyone knows this yarn, like it's a really, really popular yarn. And that's just because it's so beautiful. It's a lovely blown yarn. And this colour, along with the other colour that I've used with it, this is Sanders Garn Merino. I just think it kind of reminds me of like icy peaks of a mountain against the nice bright blue sky. That's the feels that this jumper gives me. I love it. So yeah, that's that one. Let me know if you think I should pursue it as a design. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Tell me to just get over myself and stop worrying about all the work that I should or shouldn't do. Yeah, so then once I kind of lost steam with that, or no, I didn't exactly lose steam straight away. What happened was I knew the sleeve wasn't right and I needed to block it. And then when I was blocking it, I didn't have anything else particularly that I was like kind of in the focus mood of knitting at the time. So I moved on to putting a few more rounds or rows into my granny stripe blanket. Oh my goodness, that looks so bright on the screen. Look at that. This thing has grown so much. I picked this up just as a interim thing to work on for a couple of days while my sweater blocked, and then I made a decision what I was doing on it, and then the next thing I know I've worked on it for a month and doubled the size of it. So last time I probably showed this, I had worked about this much of my blanket, so from here to here, and then I picked it up again and I've added pretty much the same amount of work on it again. So much so that I had quite a few mini skeins. I'm doing 10 grams at a time in this, and I had quite a lot of mini skeins all ready to kind of go. I had several magic knot balls made up, and I've just whizzed through the whole lot. As you can see, I've added that much. It's folded in half at the moment as well. This is like a double beds size blanket. It's absolutely enormous. And yeah, this has just been, I don't know, having picked this up, I've just found a real love for my crochet. Like, I've never been a huge crocheter. I've always said that. I've basically been able to granny stripe or make a granny square, and that's pretty much as far as my crocheting skills go. But this has given me the real kind of bug to try and be a little bit more adventurous, I guess is the word, with my crochet. I couldn't even tell you what all these yarns are because there's just so many in there. Some of these last ones here are from Cuddlebums. Some of these neon ones here are Somerset yarns. Some of this was a Quack Yarn advent calendar, I think. Not all of it, but some of it. Yeah. I say, it's just, I think what was so obsessive about this is because I'm working 10 grams at a time, it was just really fun seeing different yarns build on each other. And I think that's why I ended up finding it quite addictive. So yeah, an awful lot of yarn has gone into this to the point where I've had to buy more minis to go in it. And that was part of my purchases at the Big Flock. So I'll show you those in a second. But this also started another bit of a rabbit hole for me. When I was putting hours and hours into this, I was finding that I was getting quite a lot of hand cramp when crocheting. And being a fairly inexperienced crocheter, I kind of just put it down to that. But then the more I was working on it, the worse it was getting. So in the end, I had to try and find a way that I was going to better this because I couldn't put up with it any longer. It was kind of getting on my nerves. It was stopping me from crafting at all, which we can't have, can we? Let me just make this look pretty again. So I started experimenting with different hooks. The hook I was using to start with was this clover hook, which is quite a flat hook. It's on a 3.5 needle or hook I'm using. I'm quite a loose crocheter, I found out. So yeah, it was this flat hook I was using to start with. Like I say, I was really getting quite a lot of hand pain with it. And I think a lot of it was from the twist here. That was what was causing me the ache, and I couldn't get round it with this hook. So I started experimenting. I did an awful lot of research online about like ergonomic handles and the way best to make like hand pain better when crocheting. And I think a lot of places in the US sell these like big silicone handles that you can use, and it's meant to stop you doing something with your handle, although I don't really know. This isn't my forte, as you can tell. So I had in my mind that I really wanted to try something more circular and bigger. Yeah. And so I've also seen that lots of people make their ergonomic handles out of polymer clay. So I was like, well, that's something I can do. And I have a whole set of really cheap metal hooks that I bought from Amazon, probably. I can't even remember if it was Amazon, years and years ago. And I was like, right, I can make my own polymer clay handle. That seems easy enough. So that's what I did. I bought some polymer clay, made this massive handle. I'll put in a picture because I don't have it anymore because I smashed it up again. To try, to see if I could make something that would be a little bit more like these silicone handles that I've seen you can get in the US that people seem to rave about. And it felt good actually to crochet with, but because of the clay it was quite heavy, and so I found it kind of, the heaviness counteracted the helpfulness of the size and the shape of the handle, so that didn't work. However, it did tell me that I actually did prefer a more rounded hook, and I bought a couple then online, a couple more. I think I tried a Knit Pro hook and another one, I can't remember the name of the other one. A couple more hooks, and again the Knit Pro one turned out to be a flatter handle again, which in the picture it looked rounded, and I just made a mistake in buying that one. And then the other one that I can't remember the make of, it was a nice rounded handle, but the crochet hook was a slightly different shape to the one that I had previously, and I didn't realise that there were different types of shaped hook. And also, like, I guess it's a bit like knitting needles, they're not all quite the same, and although I bought a 3.5, actually maybe it was the shape of the hook, but my gauge on that was even looser and it was quite visible on my blanket, so that wasn't going to work. So then I went back to the clay one that I made myself, and I basically smashed off the clay and had another go. And what I came up with was this thing. And this really works. Hopefully that's focusing. So what I did was I took my original hook, just the metal one, and I chopped the end off. I made it about that much shorter because I quite like it sitting in my hand like that when I crochet. So it sits in the palm of my hand if I need it to there. And it's just round, it's just circular all the way round. Which then means as I crochet, rather than moving my wrist, I actually twist the hook. And that I find being the most comfortable way for me to crochet. So yeah, I love this thing. And actually for maybe 5 grams, maybe a little bit more of that, of polymer clay on a cheap hook, I can do this with all of my crochet hooks whenever I get a new one or need a new size. So yeah, that's that. And that was a little tangent for you, but a good process into how I found a hook that really works for me when I crochet. And this is important because this brings me on to my next project. Now, I've enjoyed my crochet so much that I've started a crochet t-shirt. Who am I? I don't crochet. I don't crochet tops or garments especially. Like, I've crocheted a blanket before. I'm crocheting this thing, but I don't do garments. But now I do. Oh, I just threw that under my sofa. I'll have to get that back later. So this brings me on to my next cast on, hook on. What does it count as in crochet? I don't know. Anyway, this is my Vesuvius top, or Vesuvius Tee by Nomad Stitches. So, but how beautiful is that? I hope this looks better in real life as it does on my screen currently, because it looks really blown out on my screen. This is yarn from the Wool Shed. I bought back in 2021. It was Liv's Silky Sock base. And the colourway is Dahlia. And I am so obsessed with this. So, as you can see here, it might not be obvious at all. I can't even work out which side's which. I think that's the right side. So here I have, is that the right side? No, that's the right side to me. That's the right side to you. So I have the back panel, is the bit in the middle. I then have one shoulder and neckline shaping. And this is my second shoulder. And if I can get this to show how this will sit roughly. I don't know if I'll be able to pick this up like this. This is how it will look as the top starts to take shape. Yeah, this is my first crochet garment. First time following a proper crochet pattern. I say a proper crochet pattern, like technically the granny stripe blanket is a pattern, but it's like a blog post on the internet for free. And it's just a few lines of this is how you do it and then carry on. So this is my first time following an actual proper crochet pattern as such. And yeah, I'm super enjoying it. Like, I find this difficult to put down. I can't believe I'm crocheting a garment. Oh, little things, little things. So yeah, that is, how many new things is that now compared to, oh, I've still got more to go, so it doesn't even matter. I've already lost count. So yeah, that's that one. The other thing that I have to show you, actually I'll start with this first as it's sat right here. Again, in my previous episode, I had started a new sock tube, and now I've finished another sock tube. So that's that one. This is yarn from Stripey Cat Yarns. This was her Harry Potter Book 2 colourway, which is in deep stash. It was come from quite deep stash. I can't remember exactly when I bought it, but yes, it's nice to be working through some of these. So as you can see, I finished the actual sock tube part of it, and like my previous sock tube, I need to cut it in half, add the cuffs, and add the heels. This one's for me. And I have also, yeah, obviously that's finished because it's finished, even though it's not finished. But I have obviously started another one. This is, again, as you can tell, another Stripey Cat Yarns self-striping. And this is her Time Turner colourway. And this one is for my husband. This one feels really weird because usually for him, I would knit him some sort of ribbing on the top of the sock and then have the plain bottom. Whereas for this one, it is just a stockinette sock. And he has 72 stitches on a 2.5mm needle, whereas I have 64 stitches on a 2.25mm needle. Oh, actually, okay, maybe it is just in my head. This version I'm doing for my husband feels way bigger than what is normal. But actually, now I've put them together, maybe it's not so big. I think it's just that I'm used to seeing his socks with a ribbed section that cinches it in a bit more. So it feels like it's going to be enormous on him. But actually, now I've put it side by side with mine, maybe it's not as enormous as I was thinking it was. So maybe I should chill out a bit. Yeah. So that's my sock tubes. The reason there has been so much work on these, and also a reason why this podcast episode has come out so much later, like Big Flock was 2 weeks ago, which was when I decided that I was going to podcast again. Yeah, it's taken me 2 weeks to do, and that's because we booked a very last minute holiday, and we were actually on holiday last week. So these were holiday knits. So I finished this one to this point and started this one whilst on holiday. And that's now a ball that's on the floor as well. Gosh, it's such a mess here. If you could see what is around me. Oh, And then whilst we're still on stuff that existed, well, it doesn't exist before, but I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Another thing you would have seen before, if you have watched before, is this project. And the reason I'm going to mention this is because there's something with it I'm just not quite happy with. And again, it's one of those projects just doesn't quite feel like it's hitting the mark, and therefore I'm not really working on very much. And I don't really know what to do about it, or what I can be bothered to do about it, even though I know that I will want the finished thing. The next thing I am going to show you is my Elton pullover by Hosey Locatelli. Oh, and actually on here I have another acquisition from the Big Flock, and that's my stitch stoppers. More stitch stoppers. These stitch stoppers were kindly given to me by Country Bumpkins podcast. I chatted to her at the show and she was kind enough to give me some stitch stoppers, and yeah, aren't they cute? And they match colour wise with my project. And actually they were really handy because I took this with me for show and tell with the Dahlia, the Wall Kitchen, and they were stuffed in my project bag with no stoppers on, and when I took it out to show Helen, I'd lost all the stitches, or a lot of the stitches anyway. So it was handy for me then to acquire some stitch stoppers to keep it happy, keep them safe. So that worked out well. So yeah, anyway, this is my Elton pullover by Hosey Locatelli. And if you have been a watcher of the podcast before, you will recognise this. This project I started must have been over a year ago now. I started it at a girls' weekend away. And I won't say I was drunk the whole weekend, but alcohol was consumed. There was lots of chatting and talking and party games, etc. And not an awful lot of concentrating on my knitting. And long story short, I ended up with enough stitches to be between sizes. And I'd got as far as knitting the body. And yeah, I'd obviously completely messed up my shaping somewhere. Had a random amount of stitches in between two sizes and had no idea where I'd gone wrong. So this whole project got frogged, and then I restarted it, and I'm now more on track. However, yeah, here it is. I've now split for the body again, and yeah, I just kind of not finding love in this project, and I don't know if it's because it had such a rocky start, or I've just lost the love for it. Like, I love the yarns and I love the pattern, and yeah, I'm just not entirely loving knitting it. But yeah, I think I'll try and show you what my most recent qualm with it is. I don't know if it's going to show very well on the camera, so if it doesn't, I'll put a picture in over the top. But yeah, as you can see, I am working the body, and there, if that's showing, is my beginning of round. So this is knit from 4-ply yarn, striped with a lace mohair silk. And where the stripes alternate on the body, I'm carrying the yarns because it's only 4 rows per stripe. But my join is just a bit janky. Like, the yarns aren't carrying very nicely, and I'm just not over happy with the way that that's coming out. And when I knit the body the first time, this also happened, and I ripped it back, improved my technique, and it was much better. But I can't remember what I did last time now, and quite frankly, don't know if I can really bring myself to pull this back again. I mean, I think I'm going to have to, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I want it to be perfect, but do I just, it's just over 2 stripes I've done, 2 and a bit stripes, so it's not much. So do I just improve it from this point forward and forget about the bit I've already done, or do I rip the 2 stripes out and get it right the whole way? Like, I know that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, but yeah, I just don't have loads of love for it, and because of that, I'm probably going to put this back down again and not work on it again for ages. But yeah, I thought I'd show that because I have made progress on this, and there is a bit of a story as to why it's not getting an awful lot of love. But yeah, if you've got any tips on how I could improve that, I'd love to hear them, because I'm just having a bit of a mind block and can't work out what I want to do about it, and don't really care. I mean, I do care. I want to do it, I want to finish it, I want to wear it, but yeah. you know what I mean. Just not, yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, that's that one. And I think that's probably everything that you've now seen before that I've covered. So, shall we move on to a little bit more holiday knitting before I go into the stuff that I've started and purchased, etc. from the big flock? I think that probably makes sense because that's only one more project before going into that. And yeah. So, this project here, I'm going to pull out. Oh my goodness, there's lots of wool in there. Oh, and now it's all tangled up. This is what happens when you take stuff on holiday and then try and shove too many projects, too many things into one small bag that don't really fit. So, in my Ravelry queue, I have had a pattern that's been saved and purchased since about 2015. So a 10-year queued project, and I've in the past had several yarns that I was going to knit this out of and then use that yarn for something else, or decided I didn't like that yarn so passed it on. Basically this project just kept getting bumped down the list and I never cast it on. And I think after my Arthur cardigan and not being super pleased with how it fit me or how it sat on me or whatever I said before, I decided that I still needed another cardigan in my life, but didn't know what I wanted to knit. And I narrowed it down to a couple that I was going to start on holiday. And this is what I finished on. So this is actually a jumper pattern, but in their pattern they say that it's super easy to convert to a cardigan, and that's what I'm doing. So this is, oh my goodness, I can't even remember the name of the pattern. Let me look it up again. It is Windswept. Windswept by Tin Can Knits. And so far you can see I have the starts of the neckband. That's about as far as I got whilst on holiday. So this was the first provisional cast on here where that one's connected. You knit the lace band going one way and then you pick up the provisional stitches and knit the other way. And that's how much I've done of the other side. And this will become the back of the neck, like that. And yeah, this didn't see an awful lot of progress on holiday, mainly because I only had my phone on me, and I don't print patterns anyway, I just look at them on my phone. But I found whilst knitting in the evenings on my holiday that trying to follow a new to me lace pattern, I wasn't finding it much fun. So I thought, do you know what, I'm going to save that for when I get back. I'll get this pattern set in my brain whilst at home, and then I'll be able to knit away on this much easier than I am now. So that's as far as I got. I'm loving this yarn. This yarn is a James C. Brett double knitting merino, I think it's called, that my mum had in stash for an awfully long time. So it's only a cheapy yarn, but I'm actually really enjoying it, really liking it. It's super soft. She destashed it to me because she couldn't see herself using it. And I was like, yeah, I'll definitely use that. That's my colours. I like the colours. And you can't go wrong with just a DK sweater weight quantity of yarn, can you? So that's what I'm making with that. And I hope to make a bit more progress with that now we are home. And yeah, I think that's now going to bring me on to my time at the Big Flock Festival yarn show. As I think I briefly mentioned before, the Big Flock is a brand new yarn show this year, and it was held at the University of the West of England Conference Centre in Bristol. I trained in UWE, not that campus, not the French campus where the yarn show is held, but that was the university that I attended. Gosh, a few years ago now. So I had been to the conference centre before. I think one of my modules was held there, like a conference show. And yeah, it was really surreal to be back. I quite enjoyed it. I went with my mum and her friend. They stayed in a hotel and I sloped off to one of my uni friends for the evening and spent the evening with her. So all in all, it was a really beautiful weekend. 2 days spent with yarny people, and then one evening spent drinking and eating Chinese takeaway with a very good dear friend of mine who I hadn't seen for quite a long time, so it was lovely to catch up with her too. Yeah, it was a really lovely, wholesome weekend. As I said before, I spent lots of time chatting to people, got lots of motivation and inspiration for new projects and new ideas, and to sit here and chat to you again, as I've already said. Yeah, I thought I'd share some of the things that I did with you. We went for the 2 days. The yarn show was split. The main kind of exhibitor halls there was 2 of them, one side of the venue, one another side. There was a lovely big atrium where people could sit and chat and craft together. There was the podcast and meetup area, which I chatted to a few podcasters from, the lovely Country Bumpkins, another lady who I don't actually know what podcast she's from. I didn't recognise her. She's not one I watch. And then Martin from Knit 365 was there. As you all know, I watched Martin's podcast, and I have done since the very start, so that was a bit crazy meeting him. It took me ages to actually go up and just introduce myself to these people. I can chat away all day long. Yeah, I am quite nervous. Like, I go to these things and I don't like introducing myself as who I am, or even expect people to know who I am. Like, there's people I chat to online, I go, well, they're not actually going to know who I am in real life, and I get a bit nervous about saying, oh hi, I'm Cat from Cat Crafty Knits, and we chat online all the time. Most of the time people do say, oh hi, it's nice to see you, but I don't expect people to recognise me or know who I am. So I found all that a little bit strange, but I did pluck up the courage to go and chat with the podcasters. Didn't really introduce myself as a podcaster because I'm not sure I can class myself as one, but yeah, it was nice nonetheless. I did Martin's class he did on, I think he called it Skein to Screen, where he chatted about his experiences of starting a YouTube channel, shared hints and tips on how he's made it work and things to think about and creating content, etc. So it was all really, really interesting, really useful stuff to know. And yeah, more than anything, he's just a really nice bloke to chat with and sit and craft with. It was really good fun. That I did his Sunday. He did 2, so he did one on the Saturday morning and then one on the Sunday lunchtime. So it was the Sunday lunchtime workshop I went to, and I say that because the thing that I was working on whilst we were sat in the podcaster lounge chatting was a project that I had started from the night before or the evening before. So on the Saturday I went to Sophie of A Spring Snowflakes workshop on Tunisian crochet. So continuing the crochet theme, I learned some Tunisian crochet, and I then brought some mini skeins from Blue Fern Yarns and sat in the atrium caking them or balling them I suppose by hand, and started my Tunisian crochet project, which I'll show you in a second, whilst chatting to Martin. So that was really strange but really fun. So yeah, let me show you my Tunisian crochet. So the practice we did on the day was to make this radiating square Tunisian crochet, and this had us practicing how to do the Tunisian simple stitch, decreasing and joining squares. And this is basically a modified version of Sophie's Radiating Squares blanket pattern, which she's kind of created as her tutorial for her workshop. And so that was my practice. And I think because I'm just on a bit of a crochet kick at the moment, I found this I loved it. Like, I found it so much fun and instantly wanted to start something with using Tunisian crochet. So as I said, I did buy some minis. This is going to be really hard to show you because I'm halfway through a square and everything. I literally bought some minis from Blue Fern Yarns. I bought a crochet hook, which is this one here. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the maker, so I'll put it on screen. It was a new to me maker, which is a nice rounded polymer clay handle, but with a decent length shaft on this one, because if you're doing Tunisian crochet with a straight crochet hook, not a Tunisian crochet hook, you need quite a long shaft. So when I've got all my stitches on at once, this is really bunched up, but I'm making it work because I want to. So yes, I started my Radiating Squares crochet blanket. And my first 4 squares are these ones here. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. And those are the yarns from Blue Fern Yarns, as are this one here and that one there. It was a 6 skein set, minis. And then these other pinks I've added just from scraps that I've got from Stash. And then I've got that one started there. So this, yeah, is my Radiating Squares project. This was the one I crocheted whilst chatting away in the podcast lounge, and then I joined these ones, and it's kind of grown from there. And this I find so addictive. Like, they work up quite quickly, although I keep making mistakes. I keep accidentally missing one of the bumps when I'm picking up my stitches, and so I accidentally decrease, but then I'll do the rest of the square and then realise that I'm off kilter and I've missed one down here, so I have to rip basically the whole thing back and then start again. But I figure that comes with practice. I'm still getting to grips with what I'm doing with Tunisian crochet. Like, literally a few weeks ago, I barely even crochet, so to now have a Tunisian crochet project on the go is quite something. So yeah, that I started after the lovely Sophie taught me how to Tunisian crochet. And yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And it was really lovely meeting Sophie, because Sophie is someone who I've chatted to on and off on Instagram and on like Knit and Natter Zoom meetings and things in the past for many years, but never actually met in real life. So it was really lovely to meet her. She's just as lovely in person as she is online, and if you ever get a chance to go to one of her workshops, I really recommend it. She's a really good teacher. And my mum particularly loved her. My mum did this workshop with me as well. And my mum really loved her because she's actually left-handed. So when my mum was like, do you show this in left-handed? Because I'm left-handed and no one ever teaches in left-handed. She's like, actually, I'm left-handed and I can show you. So my mum loved that. But she was equally good with right-handed too. So yeah, it was really good. Random tangent for you. And just so you can see them, these are the minis I got from Blue Fern Yarns. Ooh. Fell out. There. I had a really lovely chat with I can't remember her name. Shannon from Blue Fern Yarns. I watched the podcast she does with her mum, which is just so funny and a good laugh to watch. And I've always admired her yarns and I don't know if I've chatted to her on and off in the past, but she follows me, I follow her, and we kind of recognised each other, and it was quite nice just to have a bit of chat with her. So that was lovely, and then I bought those, started my blanket as you saw. I've already told you about my starstruck moment with Martin and going to his class, and then the final thing that the final workshop I did, whilst I was there, was a weaving workshop with Tabby and Tweed. Now, I've kind of admired weaving from afar, I guess you could say, because like my spinning, like I only occasionally spin, and I have a spinning wheel that is only occasionally used, and it was an expensive bit of kit, and I love it, and I do want to do more of it, but like always, there's only so much time in the day and the weeks and the months to get all of these crafty things done. But when I took up my spinning, weaving then became more and more of an appeal, because I can imagine myself weaving my hand spun yarns. I enjoyed knitting with them like as well, but I can imagine creating some really lovely things from hand spun yarns. And so I wanted to give weaving a go, and I've seen Tabby and Tweed at different yarn shows in the past, and always fancied having a go with they make like a quite small rigid heddle loom that's quite affordable. So I really wanted to have a go at the workshop, and I did. I went along this time. My mum joined me, even though she's weaved before, so I don't know why she fancied it, but she did, and yeah, we weaved these. So this was made on their mini looms, and I'm really pleased with that. This is my first ever go at weaving, and I've got a good bit of houndstooth in there. I think that's what it's called. And it's fairly even. It's a bit crunched up where I've had it folded in the bag, and I haven't blocked it. I haven't washed it yet. So it's not looking its best. It would even out more than this. But I'm really pleased with that. It's my first ever attempt at weaving. Like you can see, particularly on the other side, that my edges aren't exactly perfect. But I weaved something. And I would have been, if it wasn't for the fact that I'd already spent lots and lots of money, this was the last thing we did on the Sunday afternoon before going home. So I'd spent quite a lot of money by this point. But if it wasn't for that, I probably would have purchased one of these mini looms. Because they also do, and there's a funny name for it. Again, I'm not very good at technical stuff at the best of times, let alone on a craft that I don't know much about. They've got like an extension pack or set or something that you can put onto the mini loom to then make double thickness fabric. So you could like double this width. So you could easily make a good cushion cover or cushion covers from. And even this itself, if this was longer, would make a really nice woven scarf length. So yeah, I was super tempted by one of their looms. Or, yeah, they are looms, aren't they? I was really tempted, but refrained for now simply because I'd already spent so much money. But I can see weaving becoming a thing in my future if I ever bring myself to buy a loom. Problem is they're so big as well, aren't they? Like, wheels are big, but looms, particularly if you're going to get the big ones to make decent amounts of fabric, not only use loads of yarn but also just take up an awful lot of space, and I honestly don't know if I can get away with bringing more stuff into my house that's craft related. Like, there's only so much I'm going to get away with right before my husband goes, honestly, this is getting a little bit out of hand, Cat, what are you doing? You're taking over the house with your crafts. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. So yeah, lots of new skills learned and a lot of faith, love put back into the yarny community for me. Yeah, overall a really lovely time. Shall I show you my purchases? So you've already seen my Blue Fern Yarns purchases. Then in here I have my other purchases. So first of all, I'll start off with my 10 gram mini skeins because they were bought for this in mind. And that's these ones from my good friend Pamela at Otter and Pappoosse Yarns. I've mentioned Pamela many a time on the podcast. This was the first time I met her in person. I chatted to her lots over the 2 days, and she's just as lovely in person as she is online. And I got these beautiful, beautiful 10 gram minis from her to go into my blanket. I hope they'd stay then, but they didn't. And then I also got some more 10 gram minis for my blanket from the Little Grey Girl. And again, I had a really lovely chat with Jan from the Little Grey Girl as well, actually. She's also a very, very beautiful person, very lovely. Yeah, I got myself those. I've always admired both Gem's handmade bags and her yarns online, but I think this is possibly my first purchase, which is ludicrous, really. Don't know why. Like, these are just so up my street, as you can tell. So yeah, lots of minis for my blanket. So I look forward to adding these in soon. And then from, let's do this in a bit of an order, also from Otter and Pappoosse, I got this single skein. Is that going to focus? Let's try and get my face out more. There you go. And this one's called Mini Eggs. She did mini skeins in this as well as the full colourway, and I decided I wanted the full colourway for this. I can see that as being some really fun socks, probably. For ages, I didn't buy single skeins. I was like, I'm not going to buy single skeins because, like, aside from socks, what do you make from single skeins? I know there's shawls and other bits and pieces, but for the most part, from a single skein, I would make socks. So for ages and ages, I didn't buy single skeins. And then in the last few yarn shows I've been to, I've acquired quite a few single skeins. So I'm going to need to start doing something about using them. There's that one. Oh, and the other thing I got from Pamela was these beautiful earrings. Can I show you those? Are they going to show up? Oh, I dropped one. Hopefully that's showing up. I was going to wear these for the podcast, but then decided that they didn't go with my green and blue shawl, so it didn't. That's still got my face in it, hasn't it? Yeah, these beautiful earrings, which I put on straight away when I bought them because they matched my top while I was at the show, and I had lots of lovely comments on them. So yeah, I'm really happy with my earrings. I don't wear earrings much, but now I've got a yarny pair, I think I might have to write that. So yeah, they are my earrings that I also got. She was making them while we were there as well. The crochet bit anyway. I don't think she was putting them together as earrings because that was a bit more fiddly apparently. But yeah, very, very talented lady, Pam. And then the last thing I brought was my beautiful skein. This is my first purchase from James Makes Yarn. So I'm showing this beautiful zebra skein, which is just delightful. This is the Mardi Gras colourway from James Makes Things, or James Makes Yarn. And how delightful is that? I can't resist a zebra yarn. I've got quite a few single skeins of zebra yarn now. And again, I can see this being another really fun pair of socks. Yeah. I'm so pleased with everything I bought. I'm going to see if I can hold it all up together now, which isn't probably going to happen, but yes, some really lovely purchases in there. And one very happy crafter who has a renewed love for crafting, a renewed love for the yarny community, and just, yeah, a full and happy heart. It's so corny, but it's so true. Yeah. One happy girl over here. Yeah, I think that possibly means that I am winding this up now. It doesn't almost feel real that I've finished because I know I had so much to chat about, and I have on and off chatted for what feels like absolutely forever. If you've made it this far through, then thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my return to podcasting. If you did enjoy this episode, please, please, please think about liking and maybe subscribing if you don't already. I'm not here for the numbers anymore because I've decided that it's not worth it. I'm here because I enjoy this, but if you would like to show me some love, I'd also appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. So yeah, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. I very much need another cup of tea now before the kids come home from school because I've been talking rather a long time. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I'm repeating myself over and over and over again, so I am going to say goodbye for now and happy crafting. Bye bye.